Okay, good afternoon once again. I don't know what happened, but everything, the live just stopped. I guess it was network issue. I'm assuming that is what happened. So, um, who is here? Who is here? Who is here? Okay. Um, yes, this is Growth Habits with Ngozi, and I am your personal guide on the journey of growth. I don't just lead you on the journey of growth. I go on the journey with you. So who is here? Who is here with me? Good afternoon. Who is here? Like I said, I don't know what happened that the previous live just cut off. So I've had to restart it. So who is here with me? Who is here? Good afternoon. Good evening. Yeah, the network is a bit slow today on the journey. Yeah, the network is trying to misbehave, but we say no. We say no, we'll not allow it to misbehave. So who is here? Who is here with me? Good afternoon. Just tell me you're here and where you are joining me from. Even if you're watching on the replay, go ahead and tell me where you're joining me from. I was trying to give a recap before everything went off. Like I don't know what happened. This is Nigeria, so we manage things as we see it. All right. So I was trying to give a recap of what we have done in this particular series called Growth Chronicles. I started off the series by sharing my own journey of growth in the place of work. How I was able to deal with some of the situations that came up around me, and growth in my family, how I dealt with the people that, I had living with me and everything. Um, okay. And then last week we brought on a guest. I'm trying to see why our guest is not here right now. I brought on a guest last week, and she shared her own journey with us. Her name was Abia. Sorry, Chiwendo Abia. She shared her own journey of growth. She shared her own story of growth. She shared how she started her nonprofit organization that she's still running up till now, called Whole by Grace, and the outreach that she runs that is called Graced Girls, an outreach to young girls, teaching them about sexual purity, teaching them about self-development, and it's targeted for girls in the rural communities. And if you were here last week, you remember that she mentioned that even when she started this outreach, this program, she was living in a classroom. She had nowhere to stay. She was sleeping in a classroom, a literal classroom. She had nowhere to stay. She had no apartment of her own, nothing. She was staying in a classroom. And even from that place, she was able to organize and run the outreach. Nobody would have known that she was living in a classroom. If you had seen her, if you were there during that outreach, you would not have known that she was living in a classroom. And, she talked about that she was journaling, her journey. She talked about having a good support system, which is so, so important, so, so important. And there was one thing she said that still sticks with me till now. She said, God will meet you on the way. So start. Don't wait till all the conditions are perfect. Don't wait till everything is as it's expected to be. Just go ahead and start. And when you start, God will meet you on the way. God will meet you on the way. All right. So that was our last week's session. Our guest this week, I still have not seen her come on. So I will read her. Okay, I will read her profile, believing that she will join very soon. Our guest this week is Helen Joe-Attah. She's a Christian wife, a lawyer, a mom, a minister of the gospel, and a digital entrepreneur. She's the founder of HERCADEMY, Africa's first digital learning and earning platform for women. Let me also, before I go on, all right, she's here. Before I go on with her profile, I also met her in some circumstance that was just like that. I saw a flyer for a program, digital training. I joined, and from that point, I've just been following her back to back. When I see people who are doing great things, I was attracted to them, and I keep on. I don't let go. I don't let go. So she's the founder of HERCADEMY, Africa's first digital learning and earning platform for women. As a woman who wears many hats, she understands it's possible to have it all. She knows it wouldn't be possible without a community, that's for sure, which is why she founded 31 Lifestyle, a faith, business, and lifestyle community providing support for Christian women. She hopes that with the right support, women, especially African women, will rise up, ditch their excuses, and become everything they desire to be, and become financially independent while at it. She's an author of many books, including Mompreneur. She's already here, as you can see, Mompreneur Game Plan and the 31 Business Planner. She's married to a pastor, blessed with 3 amazing children, and they reside in Abuja, Nigeria. I keep wondering why I did not meet her when they were living in Port Harcourt, because I understand she lived in Port Harcourt before moving to Abuja. I don't know how I did not meet her then. But anyway, now they're far away Abuja, so if I need to see her, I need to pay flights and go and see her. But thank God for technology, because it's almost as if I see her every day. I am part of her academy. I am part of the 31 Lifestyle. For everything she's doing, you'll find me there. You will find me somewhere in whatever she's doing. So, join me and welcome Helen Joe-Attah this afternoon as she shares her own journey of growth. So, Helen, just go ahead and tell us whatever it is you want to tell us about your journey of growth. You can reintroduce yourself, because sometimes our profiles don't tell the personal story; it just gives the outside picture. So tell us 1 or 2 things about your journey of growth. Thank you and welcome. I'm ready to take notes.
I didn't know we were going to need anything like notes. So, which notes are you taking?
There must be something to write down from whatever you're going to say.
Wow, wow, wow. I am so excited to be on this platform today. I remember the first time I came across Growth Habits when you were doing those short podcasts. I don't know if you still do
Yes,
them.
yes,
I used to find them very interesting, and I was like, we need to hear this. Your voice is so strong, and there's a resonance to your voice. And then, your years of experience. I was like, I love hearing your voice. And I'm excited to finally be on your platform today. Thank you so much. Thank
thank
you.
you.
So you said everything there is to say about me, so I don't think that I'll be introducing myself again. So one thing that I know is that life is a journey, and whenever I have the opportunity to talk to anybody, I always tell them, embrace your journey. And I think that that's what God helped me to learn very early on in life. So I graduated from the university, and my plan was that I was going to practice law. I was going to work for like 5 years. Then I would get married. But as soon as I graduated and left law school, marriage came, and the Lord told me it was time to get married. I was like, I'm just I'm just 23, oh. I was like, I'm just 23. Oh. I need more time, but I knew better than to be giving God my own calendar. So I got married, and then I now had to relocate with my husband to Port Harcourt. It wasn't easy because I've never been to that side of the country. I'm more of middle belt and northern Nigeria. So I'd not been to the south at all. So it was very difficult for me. It was a completely new terrain for me. I got to Port Harcourt, and then I started trying to, like, okay, let me quickly find a law firm, let me find a job. It wasn't easy. I shared all of that story in my mompreneur game plan. It wasn't easy finding a job, and I found myself in a circumstance where I had to think of what I can do with my hands, with my mind. I had to think of what I can do. Okay, so if you don't get a job today, does it mean you will become useless to yourself? Right? So I had to find something to do. And then I think I started sewing, because even while I was in school, I used to sew. I used to make dresses for myself. So I was like, okay, maybe I can just start sewing for people. And then I started sewing from my home, and my neighbors started bringing clothes, and I would make clothes for them. One thing, again, let me emphasize, every season of your life is instrumental. Every season of your life is important to God. One of the things that always happens to us most times is that when we get to a season that we feel like this is not really where I want to be, we tend to put our lives on hold or on a kind of pause, and we're waiting for when things will get better. We're waiting for when we have a certain kind of, I don't know, what we're expecting to have before we can then start actually living and enjoying our lives to the fullest. But what God taught me early on is that where you are now is a season. If you make the most of that season, I move you into your next season. So that season of making dresses for people and doing all of that I was doing in Port Harcourt, I gave it my best. And through that, I think that I met a lot of people. I didn't practice law much in Port Harcourt. I I didn't do much of my practicing in Port Harcourt. I was just focusing on making dresses because that was what I found to do at the time. It was not what I wanted to do really, but that was what I found to do, and I gave it my best. And God just connected me with people, and it was it was like, should I say, it was a route to my next into my next season. And so the next season of my life came when I think that I now had my third baby, and it now became difficult for me to uh, continue with my sewing. I It was just challenging. I had little help, little or no help. So it was just me, three kids. All of them are like this. You know how they followed each other bumper to bumper. If you see all of them now, they're all we're I'm always like, are you taller than her or is she taller than you? It's confusing. So, so they followed each other bumper to bumper. So it's always been as if I have triplets. So imagine when they were smaller, right? It was crazy. So I didn't have much help. I had to tell myself the truth. This sewing is not working again because it's becoming too overwhelming. I'm becoming drained. I lost a lot of. I'm not big. If you see me, if I stand up now, you'll be wondering, is this everything, or is she remaining somewhere? So imagine as I am now, then I now lose weight again. So I lost some weight because the stress was so much. Um, And then if you know anything about sewing, you know that it requires, number one, it requires physical exertion. It also requires mental work. Sewing also requires mental work, because when it comes to cutting, taking measurements and cutting, you have to be accurate so that you don't mess people's clothes up. So it was the mental, the physical, everything was just stressful. I was like, you know what? I closed down my shop. I packed everything home, sold off some things, and then came back home, and I got home, and then I started asking myself, so what next? That was another part of my life. Now I have these three little kids. I don't know how some mothers do it, but I think that graces differ. You know, some mothers are able to keep their children, they're able to find help and leave their children no matter how little they are, and they're able to go to work and come back. At that point, at that phase in my life, I told myself, these children are too little for me to leave them in the hands of a stranger and say that I'm going to any 9 to 5 job. So I told myself 9 to 5 is not anywhere on the radar right now. So I stay asking myself, Helen, what next? What can you do? That was when I was like, okay. Then I used to make a lot of inspirational posts on Facebook. I had my Facebook account. I was not doing so much with it. I didn't even really imagine that I could maybe do any business online, but I know that I was writing a lot on Facebook, mostly just inspirational. I've always been someone who is drawn to women, someone who is passionate about women, someone who loves women. And I didn't really recognize that I had a ministry to women, but I just knew that whenever I wrote, I was addressing a woman. It was like I'm writing this for a woman to read. So all of, if not all, then most of my posts resonated with women. So I started asking myself, okay, aside from this post I'm making on Facebook, what else can I do? Then I think that season I stumbled on my mentor, or my then mentor, because as we grow, we evolve, right? So I stumbled on my then mentor. She's an amazing person, and she was doing so many amazing stuff. And then I started seeing from her that, oh, you can build a whole business online, and you know, she was doing it. She was a mom. She also had 3 kids. So I was like, okay, this woman is very much like me. She's a mom. She has 3 kids. Um, so I mean, if she can do it, then I can do it too. So I started following her bumper to bumper. I will be on her Facebook. I'll be on her Instagram. I'll be in her WhatsApp. Anything she's doing, I'm there. I was learning. At some point, I had to meet her personally. I told her, you know what, you see this thing you're doing, I want to learn it. So I submitted myself, and that's another thing. In this life, no matter what you want to do, there's someone who is already doing it. It's important to identify and align with that person. And mentorship doesn't mean that that person is better than you. It just means that that person has gone further in that area than you. So you submitting to that person's mentorship doesn't make you less. It just makes you someone who is teachable. And in this
Yeah.
life, you have to keep learning. When you stop learning, it means that you're dying. Because one of the characteristics of living things is growth,
Yes.
right? So if it gets to a point where you're no longer learning, then it means you're no longer growing. If you're no longer growing, that means you're dying. All right. So the proof that your life is progressing as as a human being is that you're learning, is that you keep learning. And the easiest way to learn is through mentors.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot, working for her. It was almost like I donated myself, and I was doing a lot of things that ordinarily I feel like they should be paying me salary for this. But
Yeah.
again, learning firsthand from her helped me to you know, identify mistakes that even she made that I shouldn't make, right? So it helped me a lot, and it also gave me a platform that kind of amplified my voice, because I started doing a lot of things from her, and that was what gave me the confidence to launch my own online business. So the first thing I did was I launched a book. I sold that ebook. That was the first thing I sold online. I couldn't imagine that a book that I just carried. I wrote that whole book on my phone, because at that
Wow.
time I was breastfeeding my last baby, and you spend a lot of time breastfeeding. So instead of just sitting there and breastfeeding, I will be breastfeeding and I will be typing on my phone. And I typed the whole book on my phone. I did the design, everything on my phone, and then I launched the book on my phone. So everything was done from the comfort of my phone. And I sold that book and I made my first money online. I think the first day I launched the book, I sold, I think, was it like 30 copies?
Wow.
And I sold it at like 3K. Oh, no, 2K. So I made like 60K that day. I sat down. This was in 2019. I sat down. I was like, really? So I can just be in my house like this and make 60K. This is something I believe here. So that was how it started. Then I started thinking, okay, apart from this book, what other thing can I begin to put out online and sell? So I said, look at my strengths. I know that I write very well. I also know that I was good with graphics. So I started to like, okay, what skills can I apply? Mind you, all of this with the knowledge that one day I will come back to practicing my law, right, my legal career. But I understood that that was a season, and uh, one scripture that stands out for me as I'm talking about this is the scripture that says, "Teach us to number our days, that will apply our hearts unto wisdom." Now, numbering your days doesn't necessarily mean counting how old you are, right? You have to understand, okay, this is where I am right now in the scale of life. This is where I am now. This is what this season and this phase of my life is saying. How can I make the end of that scripture is my emphasis here, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. So this is where I am now. How can I make the best of it? The Bible says the children of Issachar, they excelled in what they were doing because they had understanding of their of their times. So when you have understanding of your time, of your season, of the season that you're in, it helps you not to should I say despise yourself, like how can I, so a whole me now will go and read law, then I'll come and be designing graphics, or I'll be sewing clothes, or I'll be, for me, I was looking at, this is where I am now, and whatever I'm doing um is the best that I can do in this season. So I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to give it my best. And I come at it with the best of attitude. So with my LLB, I'm designing flyer for you, and I'm doing it very honorably. You cannot talk down on me. You cannot even look down on me. I'm already up there, so it's not possible for you to look down on me. So that's something that I think that a lot of people need to work on. If you must grow, you must understand that certainly there are seasons. Everybody has their seasons. If you don't pass through one season well, you will not make it to your next.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's part of your growth, and growth is not always pleasant. Growth is painful. Let me just put it like that.
Yes.
So
It
there will be
is.
seasons that are unpleasant for you, but you have to understand that I need to pass through it. Imagine if Joseph was, when he was in the prison, he was busy murmuring and complaining. and feeling very depressed, he wouldn't have found his way to the palace as
True.
easy as he did. Joseph
True.
was in the prison. He was looking for. He will go to this one. And, why is your face looking so sad? Why is your countenance like this? Hello, we are in prison. Are we supposed to be celebrating or jubilating? So the rational thing is to be sad. You are in the prison.
Yeah.
But Joseph understood that it was a season. It was a
Mm.
transition. This
Yes.
life, we are all moving. We are never at a point where this is your. We are always moving. So if you understand that you're moving, then even if you're at a spot, you are currently at a spot that you don't like. The mindset that okay, I may be here, but I'm moving, I'm passing, right?
Yes.
Should give you, some level of comfort and make you understand that, okay, let me give this my best. After all, I won't be here forever. So
Forever.
I
Yeah.
think that mindset really helped me. So even the point where I was managing people's social media pages and all of that, I gave it my best because at that season of my life, I had told myself that I won't leave my children in the house and go and be running around and looking for a 9 to 5
Yeah.
job. They were too young. They were too young. So somehow God helped me and I was able to sustain that. And then from there, I got to the stage where, okay, the children are older now. What more can you do? And from there, I started to evolve, right? So, okay, from just doing all those things, the vision God gave me about women started to, expand in my mind. And then that was what led to, starting, first of all, wealthy woman, and then what has evolved into 31 lifestyle right now, and then her academy. And then I'm at a point where aside from doing that, I'm also able to practice my law. Now I practice law. I'm not doing litigation because again I told myself that I have to be as flexible as possible because I'm a mom and I also have a child that needs a lot of support. You know, I have a child that was diagnosed with autism. He's 5. He's homeschooled, so it's a lot. It's a whole lot. There are days and there are nights. There are days when you will cry, and there are days when it's all sunshines and rainbows, and yeah, but there are days. But God has been faithful, and through it all, I've grown. I went from that phase where I was depressed and like, God, why would you allow this thing to happen to me? Just when my children were already like all, supposed to be in school, and then I won't decide to go back to work fully. Now I have a child who needs support on my hands. What am I supposed to be permanently just now locked in the house and all of that? I was really depressed. But again, I had to knock it off and tell myself that this too is a phase, this journey of life. And so if I go through this well, then I'll find myself in the next phase. But if I remain here murmuring and complaining, that's where I'll be. So I've embraced that phase and we are going through it very well. So there are days I'm able to actually make it to the office. I'm working in partnership with another colleague at a law firm. So there are days when I'm able to make it to the office. There are days when, like, 90% of the time I work from home because of that child. So I do what I'm able to do with the time that is available, and then um but I'm happy, I'm fulfilled, I'm happy where I am. I don't think that I'm waiting for all of this to be over so that I can get to know. I'm happy for this phase that I'm in. I'm learning and I'm growing still. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. You have said a lot. You have said a lot. There are one or two things, yeah, that stuck. I told you I'm taking notes. You thought I'm joking. There are one or two things that stuck with me, and I just want to point out a couple of them. You said one life is a journey. Embrace that journey. Just embrace it. When we embrace our journey, it helps, truly helps us get through it. But when we are looking at it like I'm stuck here, you
Mm.
can't you can't make much progress, honestly. You truly cannot. You mentioned about having seasons, and every season of our life is so important.
Yeah.
I think this is one thing a lot of people, let's say, make a mistake or err in. We don't realize that every season is important, as in every season. The season where you're struggling, the season where everything is going well, the season where nothing is working,
Yeah.
every single season we pass through is important. And I was talking to somebody just today, in fact, just this morning before this session, and I was telling her that I've noticed, looking at her life generally, that it appears you're not learning from the seasons you're in. You're not learning from the experiences you're passing through. Because I'm seeing, this pattern in your life where you seem to keep repeating the same things over and over in a different way. There are
Yeah.
slight differences, but it's the same lesson that I am seeing. I don't know whether you're not seeing it yourself. And truly, if we don't learn the lessons of a season, we are I don't want to say stuck, but we are kind of stuck to repeat that season
Yeah.
until we learn the lessons.
Yeah.
So every season is truly, truly important. See it as that. And I think I can't even remember where I've seen this before, but I think for years ago I saw it, that it says that when you're going through the valleys of life, don't look at it that you're going through the valley. Look around in that valley. There are flowers, there are plants growing in that valley.
Yeah.
Look around and you will see them. Pick the flowers along the way. Don't just say, I'm in a valley. Oh my God. But looking
Yeah.
up and seeing all the people who appear to be on the top at that time. Didn't know them when they were in their own valley. So learn the lessons. Then you can move forward, you can grow, you can expand, you can whatever other word we want to use. But if you're not learning the lessons in the seasons you're passing through, I don't know how you can actually go forward. I don't know how you can make good progress. So thank you for sharing that. That is so, so important. One other thing you said was telling yourself the truth and knowing when to stop. We don't know when to stop because we are taught to keep going.
Yeah.
Just, motivational speaking, keep going, don't give up, just keep on going. Don't, and no, there's a time to stop. There
Mm-hmm.
is actually a time to stop.
Yeah.
It's not everything. You have to be able to know the difference. You need to know when to keep going and when to put on the brakes and when to pack it up completely, as in completely. There was a program I was running with some people 2 years ago, and I looked at this program and I realized that it was not having the impact I expected. It was good. Honestly, it was good. Even the people in that program, they were not happy that I stopped it, but because they were just enjoying, well, I said my company. That's the way I saw it. Honestly. I didn't see the learning happening. I
Yeah.
didn't see learning happening. And I woke up one morning and packed it up. Even my mentor then called me and was like, "Why are you packing this thing?" I said, "Ma, this is not working. And we need to know when things are not working. Not just that there's small challenge, no. Not just that maybe there's small hindrance on the way, no. We need to know when things are not working and when we need to pack them up
Yeah.
and move on. And when you pack it up, just pack it up and move on. Pack it.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
look back.
I think that that's the mistake that we think that you shouldn't abandon anything. Like you must, if you start something, you must finish it, or you are a failure, or something. But you need
Yeah.
to know what is more of a priority to you. For
Yeah.
instance, now your priority was not just, oh, I signed up for a program, I need to see it to the end. Your priority was learning and the impact that you're getting from that program. So if you were not getting it, then it's not a it's not a priority to you anymore, because you're not getting what you intended to get from it. So I think that we need to understand the difference between quitting or failing and
Yes.
leaving something that is no longer working, or something that no longer serves
Set
you.
purpose, yes. It's no longer
Yeah,
serving the purpose it
yeah,
was meant to serve. That
yeah,
is so key. And a lot of us, we don't know how to do that.
yeah.
We look at it that I have failed. I
Mhm.
have failed. And you wallow in the fact that you have failed.
Yeah,
While truly what happened is that you have learned.
actually,
And that is actually what happened. You have learned and you need to move forward with what you have learned. So I found that very, very important when you said this. I noted it down so that I can bring it up again. You also said, give your best always in whatever season, whatever activity, whatever it is. Always give your best.
yeah.
Always give your best. Don't ever accept that no, you can do things anyhow. No, no, never. There is no reason why we should do things anyhow. I find this um, a lot amongst our Christian brethren, honestly. And it bothers me, especially in the workplace. Me, I'm having a career person, I've always worked.
Yeah,
And I see, I come across people who are my brethren, let me put it that way. And we're working in the same office and you're doing shoddy work and you expect to be praised for that. I can't wrap my mind around it. And when you're corrected, you take it wrong.
yeah,
You say they're hunting you. You say it's your village people. You say your boss doesn't like you. No, your boss loves you. It's you. The problem is actually you. You're not giving your very best. And I remember that I told, if anyway I've worked, they know me for this particular thing. I'm going to say it now because they've heard me say it over and over. If you can't do the best possible for this one that is not your own, when you have your own, you have gotten used to mediocrity. You will handle
yeah,
your business with that same mindset. So many times you say, it's not mine now. It's not my business. It's not my company. And we can afford to do it anyhow. No, you would have gotten used to behaving below par. When you start your own business, you apply that same principle of always acting or never excelling, being below par. You will apply it in your own
yeah.
business
Because
unconsciously.
mediocrity would already be in your subconscious, so you can't act otherwise.
It happens unconsciously, but when I say this, I'm trying to curse them. I'm like, no, I am not. I'm not even pronouncing any kind of curse upon you.
Yes,
It's not possible. I'm giving you. I'm handing you a tool, basically, that you can use. Because if you change that your mindset now, by the time you start your business, you will be doing it with excellence. You will be handling your own things with excellence because that is what you are used to. So
absolutely.
it's so important to always give our very, very best. Always. It doesn't matter. Even if nobody is noticing your very best. Yeah, okay. We have a comment. So downfall is not the end. Pick yourself up and continue on the journey. Yes, everybody falls. We have this erroneous belief that some people don't fall. Some people don't fail. They are always perfect. They're all. It's not true. Everybody failed at one point or the
Yeah,
other.
that one thing.
Everybody
Yeah.
tumbled. Yeah, tumbled. Some of our own tumbles, if you hear it, you will you will be shocked at how
Actually,
far.
that's one thing that I learned from my mentor. There's a phrase, I don't know if she came up with that or she also picked it from somewhere, but she used to always tell me, Helen, there's something called failing forward.
Yes.
You would have failed, but you would have moved forward because of what you learned from that failing. A lot of people have let failure keep them down. Meanwhile, that failure was actually a stepping stone to push them forward to their success. You have to fail, fail, fail until you arrive at success. Nobody, I mean, imagine the person that invented the light bulb stopped at the third trial.
Yeah.
He kept on failing until, was it the 99th time or the how many years
I
time?
think.
1000th time. Can you imagine? So 1000 attempts at just light bulb, ordinary light bulb.
Yeah, yeah. That failing forward principle. John Maxwell actually wrote a book called Failing Forward.
Uh-huh.
Um, and when I was writing my ICANN exams, I've never failed the exam until I wrote ICANN exams. Then in school, I was always passing Excel until I started ICANN is when I failed. And it hit me. I was like, how is it possible that I failed this
Yes.
exam? Honestly, I was ready to give up. I was like, nope, I don't fail. And since I failed this one, it's not for me. It cannot work. This. I can't remember how I came across that book. I can't remember who gave me that book, but I saw that book, Failing Forward. By the time I finished reading that book, I dusted off myself from the ground where I was, because I was truly on the ground. Dusted myself quickly, cleaned up everything, stood up, prepared for the next exam, registered for it, registered for lessons. But what I did differently was that I sat down and asked myself, why did you fail that last one?
Ah,
We don't ask ourselves these questions. And even when we do, we don't wait to get the answers. I asked myself, why did you fail? What did you do that led to this failure? I actually had my notebook where I wrote down what I felt I did wrong. But on top of that, I called my boss then, who is also a family friend, and I asked him, please do an assessment of me. Be brutal, be honest, but don't do the one that will finally break my little my little confidence. But be honest. Assess me for me. Don't worry about if it will hurt me. That I will not be hurt. Just make sure that you're being very dispassionate in the assessment. Initially, he didn't want to, but when I called back, he said, okay. He sat down and he wrote a brutally honest assessment of me and sent it to me by email. And I sat down and read this assessment, plus the things I had written down from my assessment of why did I fail this exam. And I saw that the man was right. First of all, the things he wrote there, they were correct. And I stood up from that place of reading his email, looking at my jottings, and had a plan of how I was going to write this exam the next time. And of course, I passed. I'm a chartered accountant, so of course I passed. I did not fail the exam. But the point is that I now began to apply the things that he wrote in that email. Honestly, and when I tell him that there's no matter what happens in this life, maybe we drift apart. You are my first mentor. He doesn't understand. That is email. I still have it. I starred it on my email, made it so that anytime I need it, I can always go back to it. The
yeah.
things he wrote there helped me through life. So it's so easy for me to sit myself down and tell myself the truth. See why you are not making it. These are the things you need to change. These are the
Yeah.
things you need to do right or do better.
Yeah.
It is so easy for me now because I opened myself up to that assessment. But for many of us, we see that as criticism. Criticism is not always bad. Not always bad. Allow it. Allow people to be able to criticize you
Yeah.
without fear.
Yeah.
If you can take that, what else will come your way that you'll not be able to take? What will be that thing? So yes, always give your best. Submit yourself to mentorship. You mentioned that to submit.
Yeah.
I have mentors. I don't even know if I have any mentor that is my senior in age. I don't think I have any. Truly, my mentors are my juniors in age.
They're my juniors in age, but they're my seniors in whatever they are mentoring me for.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. That's the important thing. So, sometimes we get to, how can she's my junior? It doesn't matter. In this particular issue, this person is your senior.
Exactly.
Submit yourself to that mentorship. I learned Canva through Helen sitting here. Yes, I submitted myself because I didn't know it. I could have died in my ignorance. I didn't know it. How can this small girl teach me? That's how many of us do. I submitted myself and learned. My current mentor now, Pastor Favor, is my junior by age. But she has a way of helping you achieve anything. It doesn't matter what that is. She will push and push and push until you achieve it. She will put fire on your bum up until you achieve it. So I submitted myself. She's pushing me. Sometimes she'll be like, man, I said, forget, drop the man first. It's push. Don't even consider that I senior you well. That one push. For it. So yes, put yourself to mentorship. All these things we used to carry the shoulder help. Doesn't help you. Doesn't. So yes, okay, you said it doesn't make you less. It just makes you teachable. Those were your words. So I thought I was taking notes. Tell me, good student. Yeah, so thank you so much, Helen. You've shared so many things so many nuggets that we can take from here. And as long as we apply them, growth for us will just be steady. Slow, and it might be slow. That's another, it might be slow. She mentioned that growth is painful. It is, so there's no growth that is not painful to an extent. But steadiness of the growth is what is impossible. Keep on moving, keep on making advancement, keep on taking one step at a time. It will help you a lot. I don't know if you have any other thing you want to share with us as we begin to wrap up this session for today. Is there any other little nuggets you want to drop for us?
Okay, so I think that if I were to say anything extra, I would say that growth can never happen in your comfort zone. Growth can never happen in your comfort zone. So you have to get over yourself
Yeah.
and get out of your own way in order to grow. If you want
Yeah.
to stay in that place where, oh, I'm familiar, this is my familiar terrain, oh, this is what is convenient for me, you're not willing to go outside of what you don't know, I mean, what you already know. You're not willing to try something new. You're not willing to be embarrassed. You're not willing to look ridiculous. You're not willing to, you're not willing to hear anybody tell you no, because a lot of people, they want to try something, but they are afraid of how what they want to do will be accepted. So um, they are afraid of rejection, they're afraid of hearing no, and all of that. If you are not willing to get uncomfortable, forget about growing. If you must grow, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. You have to be willing to leave your comfort zone, leave what's convenient for you or what's familiar to you or what's comforting to you, and throw yourself out there. That's the only way to grow, really.
Yeah, that is so true. Even this growth habits I am doing is me jumping, as in jumping with my two legs out of my comfort zone. I like the background. I like to be in the background. I don't want to be seen. If possible, I don't even want to be heard. But things are happening. I am making things happen in the background. So having to do even this program in the first place is me jumping completely out of my comfort zone. And
That's
when I started it initially, I kept thinking, what would people say? She's a chartered accountant. She's a past chairman of ICANN. You know, she's a this. She's a manager. So and so company. What will people say? But in the end, I threw all those. What would they say? In the dustbin.
Oh
Prayed
yeah. Oh yeah.
prayed wrong at that time, and
Oh yeah.
just did it. I went ahead and did it afraid. My first session, somebody reminded me the first growth habit session. She said I was sounding so nervous. My voice was shaking. I didn't even notice it at that time, but she told me your voice was shaking. You were sounding so nervous. She was trying to compare it with the session she watched that day. And she was like, I can see how far you have come. So honestly, nothing grows in the comfort zone. Nothing. You just have to jump in there. Nike told us to just do it, so just
Let's
do
do
it.
it. Yeah.
Yes, just do it somehow. There's something the lady last week, Chinwendu, said. She said, no, as you go, God makes the way. As you take the next step, He opens up the next step to you. But if you don't take the step, you won't see the next one. The road doesn't become clear until you take the next step. So yeah, there's nothing that grows in the comfort zone. We need to jump out of that place and take the step and do the necessary things. Thank you so much, Helen, for joining us this afternoon. In fact, I have thoroughly enjoyed myself this afternoon. I've enjoyed every bit of our discussion. My notes, they are with me. Oh. They are with me. I've written them down. Yes. They are with me. I will go back to it and pick one or two things as the days go by. That, like, I think you mentioned it. We have to be lifelong learners.
Yeah.
We must be lifelong learners. One of my mentees, she joined a group for HR, and she saw me in that group. She didn't say anything, but the day she came in, she was like, "Man, what are you doing
What were you doing there?
in this group?" Because she knows that in the process of work, I have practiced aspects of HR, but I'm not a HR professional by any measure. I told her, well, for me, I'm there to learn. There must be something they will say there that I've not known. There must be an aspect of HR they will mention that I've not heard before. There must be. There is no way somebody will organize a whole, I think it's a 6-week or 2-month HR academy,
Wow.
and I won't learn something. There's no way. There must be something there. So that's why I joined. It's not that I'm not looking for the certificate actually for this program. No.
Oh,
It's the knowledge. It's the knowledge.
wow.
And truly, in one or two of the sessions, I have seen things that I didn't know
Wow.
before. And as usual, I copied it, put in my, see this my phone notes. The notes is, that's why my phone sometimes hangs. The note is too
It's too much.
so many things, both the necessary and the unnecessary. But for me, nothing is unnecessary. One day I will need it. So
I
the
mean,
note is full. The note is full.
wow.
So
Wow.
you must be lifelong learners. Don't ever think you
Absolutely.
have known it all. Don't ever think you have understood all there is to understand. You just started the journey. You just started the process. So thank you once again, Helen. I'm glad you came on Growth Habits today. And for everyone that joined us, I am so glad you showed up. I'm sure you learned something. I'm sure there's something you will take away from this session today. Please do let me know in the comment section anything that, even if you have a question, go ahead and ask. We might not be able to answer the question right now, but we will definitely answer the question once we see it. If you have a comment to make, go ahead. And please remember to follow us on all our social media handles. It's the same everywhere. Growth Habits with Ngozi, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Look for us, Growth Habits with Ngozi, and you will see us. Very soon, our podcast. Yes, now let me tell us, it was Helen that gave me the idea of doing a podcast. The day she saw one of those my shorts, and she was like, I love your voice. You should do a podcast. I went to research. How do they do a podcast? What is it all about? I asked one or two people to get an idea. So we are still working out the nitty gritty. Our podcast will definitely be out soon. and we'll add that to our repertoire of the things we're doing
Amen.
for growth. Yes. So please
Amen.
follow us on all our social media handles, and remember to make each day count. Every day, make it count. Be valuable in whatever you are doing and ensure that you are growing. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Join us again next week, Tuesday, 12 noon. Today we had to shift to 1 because Helen had one or two things that came up we didn't anticipate. 12 noon Tuesday, right here on my Facebook page, where I will bring on another guest that will share their journey of growth, their life of growth. Thank you for joining me once again, and see you next week Tuesday right here on Growth Habits with Ngozi. Bye. Bye.